19 past now, and nearly 150 illegal truckers are now off the road after a massive DHS bust. That operation took place in Indiana as part of Operation Midway Blitz. Officials say that some of the suspects had prior convictions for theft, drug trafficking, and assault. In Broadview, Illinois, the scene of many moments over these past several Fridays. West of Chicago is Mike Tobin on that and more. Mike, good morning.
Good morning, Bill. Friday in Broadview. We usually see the crowds pile up. The crowd is pretty small this morning. They wear costumes anyway, so you wouldn't notice it's Halloween. But it's a pretty small group right now that doesn't look like they are poised for a clash, at least not anytime soon. But you mentioned DHS Secretary Kristi Noem announcing that Operation Midway Blitz now also includes a crackdown on illegals driving trucks. In recent weeks, we've seen cases like Jashanpreet Singh. He entered the country illegally in 2022, was allowed to go free under the Biden administration. He's now accused of driving an 18-wheeler drunk and causing a fiery crash that killed 3 people last week. A case out of Florida involves a driver named Hajinder Singh. He entered the U.S. illegally in 2018, failed his commercial driver's test 10 times. He's now accused of causing a crash that killed 3 people in Florida in August. Secretary Noem says 150 illegal migrants driving trucks have been taken off the road, and she promises more to come.
Too many families across this country have felt pain and been victimized and lost loved ones because of these illegal drivers. If you are here driving on our streets illegally and our highways, you are endangering our citizens, and your days are numbered.
Noem also refused a request from Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker to halt the immigration enforcement for Halloween. In fact, she called that request shameful. DHS says some 3,000 people have now been arrested or detained as part of Operation Midway Blitz.
Okay, we'll watch that, and we'll watch the action where you are too. Thank you, Mike. Mike Tobin, Broadview, Illinois.
I've sent a letter to Kristi Noem and to the Department of Homeland Security leadership asking them to pause all of their federal agent operations for the entirety of the Halloween weekend. I'm asking for basic human decency. Give the children and the families of Illinois a break.
Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker once again lashing out against the Trump administration's immigration crackdown and calling on DHS to pause operations for Halloween weekend. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem denying that request and pushing back.
No, we're absolutely not willing to put on pause any work that we will do to keep communities safe. The fact that Governor Pritzker is asking for that is shameful, and I think unfortunate that he doesn't recognize how important the work is that we do to make sure we're bringing criminals to justice and getting them off our streets, especially when we're going to send all of our kiddos out on the streets and going to events and enjoying the holiday season. We want to make sure that they're safe.
Let's bring in Ron Vitiello, CBP Senior Advisor. Ron, thank you for joining us. You know, you hear from the DHS Secretary that you can't let up. This work is absolutely critical. And then you hear from the governor saying, just let our kids have a break. What do you make of that?
Well, it's a contrast in leadership, right? You have President Trump in the White House empowering the front line, allowing Secretary Noem to lead her troops to make America safe, both in Chicago, in the state of Illinois, in the entire homeland. And then you have the governor of Illinois who doesn't want anyone in the United States deported, including criminal aliens, narco-terrorists, and people in Chicago who are hurting his citizens, hurting the citizens of Illinois. So it's a contrast in leadership. And I think the American people made a choice last November to have safe streets, to have secure borders, and we are delivering on that in CBP. ICE is doing the same, led by the Secretary, and we're having an effect. And you saw the cooperation, the state of Indiana with the governor present yesterday at the press conference, the Department of Transportation, and all of the interagency working together to help secure America, prevent these preventable accidents and crime caused by illegal aliens.
So Pritzker is pointing to this incident in Old Irving Park where there was a raid that happened. It was a targeted enforcement operation, reportedly, but it was going on right as a family or a group of families were preparing for a Halloween parade. Pritzker is saying, basically using this incident to stoke the belief that CBP is not going after the worst of the worst. Listen to what he says here.
So don't believe it when they tell you that they're busting the worst of the worst gangs or gang members. They're attacking peaceful neighborhoods and terrorizing kids in Halloween parades. Hardworking and law-abiding but undocumented parents snatched away from their children. The children left at the side of the road. Is this what Kristi Noem and Donald Trump mean when they say the worst of the worst?
So in this incident, apparently there was tear gas or some other agent that was used. A federal judge cited that incident as cause basically to point to, telling Bovino, you got to make sure that your agents are not using chemical weapons without proper notification to the people who might be in the area. Are you able to say whether that guideline was met in this case, or is Pritzker using this as, a moment to politically posture?
Well, he's continued to use rhetoric to vilify the men and women of the front line who swore an oath like he did to protect his constituency. They are out there arresting people who are in the country illegally. In this case, it was a targeted enforcement operation going after a criminal alien. And when people, whether they're citizens or otherwise, get in the way of legitimate law enforcement work, you put your hands on a frontline agent, you can be expected to be arrested, and they're going to use whatever tactics and techniques that they need to protect themselves. And so in that particular incident, I don't have the details, but what I can tell you is that no judge in America should tell the police how to deploy assets and resources to take criminals off the streets.
And you do hear the argument from the government lawyers saying you don't want to throttle the agents from responding to an escalating threat. We know that there's been a 1,000% increase in assaults and death threats against federal officers, up 800%. So we will continue to watch this closely. Ron Vitiello, thank you very much for your time this morning. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.